In an industry already struggling with high interest rates, declining demand, and oversupply, Carvana has unleashed a move so disruptive that it's sending shockwaves through every corner of the used car market. The company that once teetered on the edge of collapse has now flipped the entire game upside down. And what they've just done might completely destroy the traditional dealership model as we know it. So what exactly did Carvana do? They've slashed prices across thousands of vehicles, in some cases undercutting local dealers by several $1,000s per car. Their new strategy, combining massive price cuts, aggressive inventory expansion, and next-level financing options, has suddenly made buying used cars online not just convenient, but unbelievably cheap. Imagine finding a 2-year-old SUV for less than what your local dealer paid for at wholesale. That's the kind of chaos Carvana just triggered. Their no dealer, no hassle model has become an unstoppable weapon in a market where every dollar counts, and it's crushing old-school competition that simply can't keep up. Dealers across the country are panicking. Local lots are packed with cars that just won't move because buyers have realized they can skip the middleman entirely. Traditional dealerships, with their sales commissions, overhead costs, and financing gimmicks, are bleeding out as customers jump ship to Carvana's slick, transparent, online-first experience. In major cities, dealers are already reporting sales plunging by double digits. Carvana's pricing isn't just competitive, it's a declaration of war, and that war is already taking its toll on the entire market. Used car prices are collapsing. After years of inflated prices, the bubble is finally bursting. The average used car price in the US has dropped faster in the last few months than at any point since 2008. Oversupply, high interest rates, and Carvana's new wave of aggressive discounting have pushed the used car market right to the edge. Dealers are now forced to either match Carvana's prices, losing money on every sale, or watch their inventory sit idle for months. Either way, it's a death spiral that's accelerating the crash. But how is Carvana pulling this off? The secret lies in their technology-driven strategy. While traditional dealerships rely on outdated systems and local pricing, Carvana uses artificial intelligence, automation, and data analytics to manage every part of their operation. They know exactly what cars people want, where they're wanted, and what price point will trigger a sale. Their AI-driven pricing model updates constantly, adjusting prices by the hour to stay ahead of competitors. Add to that their automated reconditioning centers, streamlined logistics, and click-to-buy convenience. And you've got a company that's not just selling cars, they're reinventing the entire process. Behind the scenes, Carvana's strategy is pure precision. They've optimized inventory turnover so efficiently that they can move vehicles faster and cheaper than anyone else. Their partnerships with financial institutions allow them to offer flexible financing, even for customers with less than perfect credit. And with their buy online, deliver to your door promise, they've turned what used to be a stressful, time-consuming process into a frictionless digital experience that today's buyers crave. But not everyone is celebrating. The fallout is massive. Independent used car dealers are going bankrupt at record rates, unable to survive the price war. Major players like CarMax are feeling the pressure too, watching customers migrate to Carvana's platform in droves. And it's not just the used market taking a hit. Traditional automakers like Ford, GM, and Toyota are also seeing their resale values tumble, threatening future sales and leasing models. The ripple effects are spreading across the entire automotive ecosystem. Buyers, of course, are thrilled, most at least for now. People are getting record low prices, easy financing, and doorstep delivery. But there's a hidden catch. Some buyers are starting to report quality issues with reconditioned vehicles, warranty limitations, and unexpected financing terms buried deep in the fine print. It's raising the question, is this incredible deal a short-term win for consumers, or the start of a long-term problem for everyone else? And then comes the biggest question of all. Can Carvana actually survive their own revolution? The company's financial past is far from clean. They've carried billions in debt, faced lawsuits, and seen their stock price swing wildly over the past few years. Now, even as they dominate headlines and crush competitors, analysts are warning this might be a race to the bottom. Sure, Carvana's strategy is winning customers, but at what cost? Are they turning a real profit or burning cash just to take over the market? Because if this gamble backfires, the consequences could be enormous. The used car market could be left in ruins, with dealerships gone, values crushed, and buyers stuck in a system controlled by one dominant online platform. But if it does work, this could mark the end of the dealership era altogether. A future where buying a car feels more like ordering from Amazon than haggling with a salesman in a dusty showroom. And that raises another question. What happens when companies like Tesla or even Amazon itself decide to copy this model? Because make no mistake, every major automaker is watching what Carvana is doing right now. Tesla already sells directly to consumers, bypassing dealerships entirely, but Carvana has taken that concept and applied it to the used car world, a market worth over $1 trillion. And that's where things get really interesting. We're witnessing the same kind of digital disruption that transformed retail, travel, and entertainment. But this time, it's hitting the auto industry, one of the last strongholds of the old-school business model. Imagine this. No more haggling, no more dealership markups, no more shady dock fees or inflated warranties. Just a digital marketplace where algorithms set fair prices in real time, where cars are delivered to your driveway in days, and where customers control the process entirely from their phones. That's the future Carvana is trying to create. And whether you love them or hate them, they're already halfway there. Meanwhile, the traditional dealership lobby is in panic mode. State laws that once protected dealer franchises are now being questioned. Some states are even looking at whether online sellers like Carvana have an unfair advantage. But the truth is, the tide has already turned. Consumers have spoken. They want speed, simplicity, and transparency. And Carvana's platform delivers exactly that. While dealers are stuck fighting lawsuits and managing bloated inventories, Carvana is winning the battle for customer trust. Still, the story isn't all sunshine for Carvana. Their rapid expansion comes with massive logistical costs. Maintaining huge inventory hubs, reconditioning centers, and a nationwide delivery network burns through cash at an alarming rate. Every time Carvana slashes prices to grab market share, their margins shrink even further. It's a bold, high-stakes gamble. Grow fast enough to dominate or collapse under your own weight. And some analysts believe that if the used market keeps sliding, Carvana could find itself trapped by the very disruption it created. But here's the twist. Carvana knows this. Their strategy isn't just about selling cars, it's about owning the digital infrastructure of the used car market. They're positioning themselves as the Amazon of automotive retail, controlling data, pricing, and logistics at every level. Once the smaller competitors are wiped out and the market consolidates, Carvana could slowly start raising prices, optimizing profits, and turning their dominance into long-term control. It's the same playbook that transformed e-commerce, and it's being executed with ruthless precision in the auto world. And while the competition scrambles to respond, customers are pouring in. Over the past few months, Carvana's web traffic has exploded. Search data shows that millions of people are browsing their inventory daily. Social media is flooded with videos of people buying cars from Carvana vending machines, skipping the dealership entirely. For many, it feels like a revolution, the ultimate convenience at the lowest price possible. But here's the danger no one's talking about. If this shift continues and traditional dealerships collapse faster than expected, America could soon have a used car market controlled by just a handful of digital giants. Less competition, fewer independent options, and more control in the hands of data-driven corporations. What looks like freedom for consumers today could quietly turn into a monopoly tomorrow. At the same time, automakers are being forced to rethink their entire business models. Companies like Ford and GM depend heavily on used car resale values to support leasing programs and brand perception. If Carvana keeps driving prices down, that could ripple back to new car sales, financing, and even production levels. The collapse of used prices doesn't just hurt dealers. It threatens the financial backbone of the entire automotive supply chain. And yet, Carvana's not slowing down. They're expanding inventory, opening more fulfillment centers, and pouring resources into AI that predicts future demand. They're testing instant trade-ins, where your car's value is determined by algorithm and the sale is completed within minutes. They're rolling out flexible payment plans, subscription-style car ownership models, and same-day delivery in major markets. Every move they make tightens their grip on a market that once seemed untouchable. Meanwhile, investors are split. Some see Carvana as the ultimate comeback story, a company that went from near bankruptcy to market dominance in under 2 years. Others warn it's all smoke and mirrors, that the price war can't last forever, and that the balance sheet will eventually implode under the pressure. Either way, Carvana has forced every automaker, dealer, and investor to face a harsh reality. The old way of selling cars is dying, and the future belongs to whoever controls the digital marketplace. And as this battle plays out, the question everyone's asking is, what happens next? Will Carvana's revolution lead to a fairer, more transparent market for consumers? Or will it end in another corporate collapse that leaves chaos in its wake? Because if Carvana falls, it could drag the entire used car market down with it, leaving millions of vehicles unsold, prices in freefall, and an industry scrambling for answers. And that's the terrifying part. The entire industry's fate might now hinge on a single company that was once written off as a failed startup. Just a few years ago, Carvana was drowning in debt. Their stock was collapsing, and experts predicted bankruptcy was only a matter of time. But instead of dying, Carvana pulled off one of the most shocking turnarounds in automotive history. They didn't just survive, they used that chaos to rebuild themselves into a lean, tech-driven powerhouse that now controls pricing momentum across the entire used market. Their secret? Aggressive adaptation. When traditional dealers were sitting on overpriced inventory, Carvana doubled down on automation. When buyers were terrified of high interest rates, they introduced flexible financing and deep discounts. And when consumer confidence began to collapse, Carvana bet everything on convenience, making it possible to buy a car from your couch, sign the papers digitally, and have it delivered in days. It's the kind of seamless experience customers didn't even know they wanted until they tried it. And now they don't want to go back. Meanwhile, the cracks in the old system are getting wider. Walk into any local dealership right now and you'll see it. Empty showrooms, anxious salespeople, and managers desperate to move units. Many dealers are sitting on aging inventory that's rapidly losing value. They can't lower prices fast enough without taking massive losses. Their financing partners are pulling back, their margins are disappearing, and foot traffic is down by as much as 40% in some markets. Carvana has forced them into a corner. Adapt to a digital-first economy or get left behind. Even CarMax, the long-reigning king of used cars, is under pressure. Their massive retail footprint, once a strength, has turned into a liability. Overhead costs, maintenance, and staffing expenses make it impossible to compete with Carvana's online-only model. Investors are starting to shift their faith and their money toward platforms that can scale without physical limitations. Carvana's message to the market is clear: the dealership era is over, and the digital dealership has officially taken over. But there's another layer to this story, one that could determine whether Carvana's dominance lasts or crashes. The used car industry is about trust. When people buy online, they rely entirely on transparency, photos, reports, and promises. And that's where the pressure is building. Some customers are already raising concerns about discrepancies in vehicle conditions, slow refunds, or lack of post-sale support. As volume increases, maintaining that trust becomes harder. One major scandal or wave of negative reviews could shake the very foundation of Carvana's reputation. Still, the company seems prepared. They're pouring resources into better inspection systems, video-based listings, and AI that flags potential issues before a sale ever happens. Every step of their process is designed to make the customer feel in control. And that emotional connection is something dealerships never mastered. Buying a car through Carvana feels modern, empowering, and fast. Words no one has ever used to describe the traditional dealership experience. And that perception matters more than ever. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about prices, it's about power. Carvana has seized control of the narrative, turning the used car market into a digital ecosystem where algorithms, not humans, set the rules. And once buyers start trusting those algorithms more than salesmen, It's game over for the old guard. But here's where it gets even more disruptive. Carvana's success has caught the attention of major tech companies. Rumors are already swirling that Amazon could enter the car sales business, possibly partnering with Carvana or creating its own rival platform. If that happens, it could completely erase the last remnants of the dealership network. Underneath all that momentum, there's an uneasy truth. This kind of disruption doesn't come without casualties. Small-town dealerships, many of them family-run for generations, are closing their doors. Thousands of employees are being laid off as showroom traffic disappears. Financing companies are tightening their credit standards, terrified of collapsing resale values. The ripple effect of Carvana's dominance is reshaping entire communities. What was once a stable, localized business ecosystem is now being replaced by a handful of national tech platforms that don't even operate within those communities. And yet, customers keep flocking in, drawn by the deals, the ease, and the promise of something better. They're not thinking about macroeconomics or industry stability. They're thinking about saving $5,000 on a car they can order from their phone. In a time when people are stretched thin financially, that's all it takes to tilt the balance. Carvana knows this, and they're weaponizing affordability to win hearts, wallets, and market share faster than anyone thought possible. Meanwhile, banks and lenders are quietly watching the storm unfold. Used car values are a foundation for billions of dollars in auto loans and lease returns. If those values keep dropping, fueled by Carvana's relentless price undercutting, it could send shockwaves through the financial system. We could see a scenario where major lenders start pulling back from auto financing entirely, choking off credit for millions of buyers. That would send prices crashing even further, and ironically give Carvana even more leverage to scoop up inventory at rock-bottom costs. It's a feedback loop, one Carvana seems to understand better than anyone. Every time the market stumbles, they get stronger. Every time prices drop, they move faster. They've built a system designed to thrive in chaos, a marketplace that feeds on volatility instead of fearing it. While old-school dealerships pray for stability, Carvana profits from the uncertainty. And that's why this story is far from over. Because the same forces that built Carvana's empire could also tear it down overnight. One misstep in logistics, one major scandal, one financial slip, and the whole operation could come crashing down. They're walking a razor's edge between domination and destruction. And as they push the boundaries of what's possible, the auto industry is holding its breath, wondering which way they'll fall. But no matter what happens next, one thing is undeniable. Carvana has already changed the game forever. The way people buy cars will never be the same again. Dealerships will either evolve into lean, digital-first operators or vanish entirely. Automakers will have to build new pricing models that account for real-time data, not outdated forecasts. And consumers will demand more transparency, more control, and more value. Because now they've seen what's possible. Still, the final chapter of this story hasn't been written. Will Carvana's bold strategy turn them into the Amazon of automobiles? Or the next cautionary tale of a company that flew too close to the sun? Because the truth is, revolutions don't end neatly. They leave winners, losers, and an industry that never looks the same again. And right now, as the dust settles, Carvana stands alone at the center of it all. The company that killed the used market industry and dared the world to rebuild it from the ashes. And here's where things take an even darker turn, because Carvana's dominance isn't just about cars anymore, it's about data. Every search, every trade-in estimate, every financing approval feeds into their massive analytics engine. They're not just tracking what you buy, they're predicting what you will buy next. They know which makes and models are gaining popularity, which regions are trending toward hybrids or SUVs, even how long it takes the average consumer to make a purchase decision. This gives them a kind of market foresight no dealership, and not even most automakers, can match. That's the real power play here. Carvana isn't playing the same game as dealers anymore. They've already moved up the food chain. Their data is now shaping pricing trends for the entire industry. When Carvana cuts prices on a specific model, regional dealers often follow within days. When they boost trade-in offers on certain vehicles, wholesale prices shift across auction houses. It's like they've become the invisible hand guiding the used car market, and that control is only growing. But power like that comes with consequences. There's growing concern that Carvana's influence could start warping the natural balance of the market. By undercutting prices too far, they risk creating an artificial floor, one that makes it nearly impossible for smaller dealers to stay afloat. Once those competitors disappear, Carvana could slowly begin raising prices again, restoring profitability on their terms. It's the classic DIY,